Hello, you guys, Luxura Moon Goddess, and today we are going to be discussing the dark side. Yes, the dark side. And as you can see, since we're talking about the dark side, I have my little cute black dress on. So, we're going to be talking about the dark side. What do I mean by this? Everyone has a dark side. A lot of people like to believe, no matter how sweet someone appears, no matter how moral, how good someone appears, everyone has a dark side. And when people hear the dark side, because a lot of people they hear, oh, this person has a dark side, they think of evil. The dark side is not necessarily evil because you have a dark side, and we're human. People have faults, people have go through things in life, people change, things happen, and people go through different life experiences, and so people naturally develop a dark side with their life experiences, with the things that they've gone through. I have a dark side, everyone has a dark side. The dark side is not necessarily evil. You have to get to a point where you have to look beyond good and evil. Like in society, we talk about, oh, good and evil, you must be a good person, you must be moral, you must follow the rules, da 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 da. No, we're human. And people go through different things, people change in different ways. So, let's talk about the dark side. The dark side comes out, and, like, for example, what is the dark side? When does the dark side happen? When does your dark side show up? The dark side happens when, for example, when you're on your job and you're sick of your coworkers or you're sick of your boss and you decide to walk off that job. That's the dark side that kicked in. Because, most people that, stay off the job, be professional, your dark side kicked in and said, it's time to get the hell off this job. The dark side kicks in when you're driving on the road, someone cuts you off, and you get it makes you angry, pissed off, you start driving like a bat out of hell around them, trying to get away from them, it pisses you off. That's the dark side. The dark side kicks in when you've had a rough couple of days and you're dealing with a cashier, on the register or what have you, and, she's talking crazy to you, maybe she's in a bad mood or whatever herself, and you don't hesitate to cuss her out or talk crazy to her or what have you. That is the dark side kicking in. But you can't see the dark side because a lot of people, they hear these examples. Oh, that's something bad. You need to control it. You need to restrain it. You need to do better. And not necessarily. And I'm going to tell you as to why that is. With people who restrain their dark side, especially if they think it's evil, especially if they think it's bad, what happens if you restrain your dark side? That's how a lot of people, it's kind of like that person who's like super friendly, super nice, always cheery, always bubbly, and then all of a sudden they have like a really bad day and they just snap on someone or cuss somebody like completely out, like they have like explosive anger. That's kind of what happens if you don't really let your dark side manifest in the proper way. So, with your dark side, with the dark side, like I said, I have the dark side too. You don't want to necessarily see it as something evil, something bad. That's not what you want to do. With the nature of the dark side, you have to, and I promote this a lot, you have to get to a point. You have to, first of all, look beyond good and evil. And you need to get to a point in life where you need to figure out how to use things to your advantage. You need to figure out how to strategize things. Your dark side is the same thing. Use strategy. Use it to your advantage. So with that being said, what is the benefit of having a dark side? What is the benefit of having a dark side? And what are like dark personality traits? Some, like, for example, let's see, what's an example of like a dark personality trait? Like if you're somebody who's very, what example can we use? let's say you're someone who's very pessimistic. I'm a very pessimistic person, believe it or not. I may not seem like it, but I'm a pessimistic person. So a lot of people are going to say, oh, being pessimistic is not good, and, you don't have a good outlook on life, and, you're going to be miserable, you're going to be bitter, da 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 da. No, I'm not, I used to be a lot more bitter when I was younger. I'm not really very bitter anymore. And so what is the benefit of being pessimistic? Let's look beyond good and evil. Let's look for the good within the bad. If you're somebody who's pessimistic, you're naturally going to be more wary of people. You're not going to be super trusting of people right off the bat. And in my opinion, you really shouldn't, especially with people this day and age. You should not just be freely trusting people left and right. Because with human beings, with people, and most adults, they have a hidden agenda. They have a hidden agenda anyway. So you should be cautious. You should be wary. You shouldn't be, and with society, they teach you the wrong thing. That with society teaches you how to lose all the time. So look, aside from, you don't need to be trusting people left and right. People have to earn your trust. You're not just supposed to be, not to say you need to be rude or treating people like trash or whatever, but it's like, I don't know you. I don't trust you. It takes time to build a relationship. I don't have to trust you. And, what's the benefit of being pessimistic? A lot of people want to see things through a rose colored glass. They want to be very optimistic. It's all rainbows and sunshine. And, look for the positive in life. Da, 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 da. I'd rather, because the times, and it didn't last very long, when I was really a lot younger, and I've pretty much been a pessimistic person for pretty much all my life, even as a child. The thing with being more optimistic is, you're looking through the rose colored lens, and it's almost, some people have it to a point where they're almost delusional. I call it living in Disney World. You can't sit and live in Disney World, especially as you get older, especially when you're an adult. You gotta stop living in Disney World. It's not going to be it's not always going to be a happy ending. It's not always going to go the way you want it to go. It's not, this is real life. This is the real world. It's not going to always go the way you want it to go. It's not always going to have a happy ending. So with that being said, I'd rather be pessimistic and assume the worst out of someone, because if I'm assuming the worst, if I'm assuming something bad will happen, when I think and view from this perspective, if I assume something bad is going to happen or something negative is going to happen, and then it happens, it doesn't surprise me, because it's like, oh, I already knew that this was going to happen anyway. But if I assume something negative, if I assume something bad is going to happen, and something good happens, it's like, well, that was nice. I'm glad it turned out that way. I'd rather have it that way. I'd rather, I don't like, especially when I was younger, I would get disappointed by people a lot. I got tired of living in disappointment. So, and I'm going to do another video on this sometime in the future, especially about modern psychology, because, and a lot of people probably going to come for me for this, but, because, oh, you're not a psychologist, you're not a whatever, but honestly, modern psychology will keep you stuck. But that's going to be for a separate video. So with that being said, you gotta see, back to the topic at hand, you gotta see your dark side as something beneficial. How can you profit from your dark side? How can you use your dark side to your advantage? It's not necessarily something bad, and it's not necessarily something evil. And in my opinion, you have to have a dark side. The dark side is what protects you. The dark side is what protects you when you're threatened. The dark side comes out when people try to play you, when people try to use you, when people try to run game on you. Don't see the dark side as something bad. Don't see the dark side as something evil. They want you to think that it's something evil because, especially in society, they want to, what is the purpose of society? Why do they want to encourage being a good person? The thing with good people are good to use. That's why they promote, why do they really promote certain things? Oh, follow the rules, be moral. be a good person. You should try to be helpful to people. You should try to, you'll be super friendly to everyone. Be super sociable. Be super likable. Why are they really promoting the moral so hard sometimes? It's because they have to create predator and prey. And good people, super moral people, they're good to you. You can run game on. You can use them. And a lot of people are going to say, oh, that's not true. They know what you're doing. No, we have, at least where I live, there's a lot of stupid people in this world. Even as adults, I'm not talking about teenagers or kids. We're talking about there's a lot of stupid adults in this world. And a lot of people, they're not awakened. They don't really see what's going on because they've been programmed since they were a child, since they were younger. Children are very impressionable. They're very programmable. They're very brainwashable because they don't know any better. They're ignorant. They don't have knowledge. You don't come into the world automatically knowing everything, automatically having all the knowledge that you need to know. You have to live and you have to learn and you have to grow up. And through your life experiences, you have to gain that knowledge. But children, and certain children are more, they're more susceptible to the brainwashing when they're younger. They don't know any better. Certain children with certain personality traits, especially being sensitive, being very empathetic naturally, they're going to be more susceptible to the brainwashing. So they're hearing all these things. Oh, you have to be a good person. It's not good to cuss people out when you're angry. You need to hold your tongue. You need to turn the other cheek. Don't hit somebody. Don't lay hands on people. It's not okay to do this. It's not okay to do that. But the thing is, with that type of teaching anyway, when, they're encouraging, be a good person, and I call it, the good that they refer to, that's kind of light. They want you to be on the light side rather than the dark side. So they want you, be a good person, do this, follow the rules, don't talk back to people. And with this type of teaching, with this type of thinking, this is what programs children. First of all, it's going to program them to be used, and it's going to keep them stuck in life. And it's going to end up making them miserable. Because those type of children that's hearing this programming, be a good person, be this, da 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 da, especially, if this is from really strict parents or depending on the household, depending on, if they're super religious or what have you, they're going to be the people that get used and abused the most. And they're going to have issues with good and bad. It's kind of like, and I had this a little bit when I was younger, it's kind of like when you're growing up, especially because the thing is, even though they're children now, they're going to get older. They're going to get older. They're going to start seeing things, especially now with social media, especially now that we have the internet. They're going to start seeing things. And it's going to make them angry and it's going to make them bitter because they're going to see things. They're going to know those things. Oh, well, why do I have to follow these rules? Why are people coming at me for this when this lady over here is doing this, or this kid over here, he's lying, he's cheating, and she got mad, and she didn't even get in trouble. She only got like a slap on the wrist, and da 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 da. And so they grow up, they start seeing these things, and it makes them bitter. It makes them resentful. It makes them, very upset because, and it's going to hit them because especially if they're taught, Disney World and Ideal World, oh, be good to people, you should be good, this, that, and the other. They're going to realize, oh, life is not fair. The world is not fair. And so with that being said, if you saw my previous video, you can't, stop playing fair in an unfair world because that's not what you should be doing. There's no back to the dark side. The dark side is not evil. The dark side is not bad. A lot of people are going to tell you that's bad, but it's not bad. Use your dark side to your advantage. Those dark personality traits, like, being selfish, getting angry at people, releasing your anger. Especially, now that I brought up releasing your anger, especially as women, Especially, when we were little girls. Oh, you shouldn't talk back to people. You should turn the other cheek. You shouldn't raise your voice. Be soft spoken. You don't have to be like that. In fact, I'm giving you permission as the goddess within me. You don't have to be like that. Because it's going to end up doing a disservice to you. It's not going to be helpful to you. Don't be afraid of your dark side. Let it out. There's a reason, because if you really think about it, there's a reason why you're angry. There's a reason why you have some sort of resentment. There's a reason why you want to go off on this person. There's a reason why you want to walk off that job. There's a reason why you want to lie and cheat and deceive. And again, we as human beings are not perfect beings. We're not perfect. A lot of people will walk around and sit and believe that they're perfect or try to be perfect, but you're not going to ever be perfect. It's just not going to be, it's not going to happen. And there's nothing wrong with that. We're not living in a perfect world. Nature is not perfect. There's flaws even in nature. There's flaws in biology. You don't have to be perfect. So with your dark side, you have to see your dark side as something beneficial. You need the dark side. We spend too much harping on the light, the good within people, see the good within people, be a good person, this, that, and the other. No, we need to start emphasizing, and we need to acknowledge the dark side. The dark side is not going to ever go away. Because again, like I said, we're not perfect beings. You have the dark side for a reason. So with those dark personality traits, with the dark side, you gotta strategize and figure out, see the good within the bad. Even though I don't believe it's bad, but you gotta see the good within the bad. What is the benefit of being better? What is the benefit of being super egotistical? You gotta strategize. And this is where a higher level of thinking comes in. You have to be thinking on a higher level. You need to forget about the programming, about what they say. Oh, because they easily teach you when you're younger, good and bad, good and bad, good and bad. No. What is the benefit? What is the good within the bad? And when you think like this, and I've trained myself to think like this, so I don't easily accept, oh, this is something that's bad, oh, this is something that's good. I have to stop and think. I have to evaluate, depending on, because there's, in life especially, you got to consider like the situation. What is the context? What is the context? Like, for example, when they say, they automatically teach you, oh, don't hit people, don't use violence, violence is bad. But what is the context? What are we really talking about? Is this someone, is this, when they say, violence is bad, hitting people is bad, what is the situation? What is the context? Is this a child that's been physically abused by their parents for many years and they just couldn't take it and they lay hands on their parents? Or is this someone who just has a very nasty temper for whatever reason, anger management problems, and they decide to, hit their children? Even though and children don't deserve, or even if it's just another adult or whoever, and they just have a bad temper and they can't control it. The context is different. You see what I'm saying? The context is different. So you can't really just sit up there and say, and really this is kind of a separate video, but I feel like it's related to the content. You have to really see the context. Is your dark side, is your dark personality traits really bad? Depends on the situation. What is going on? What situation are you in? You may be in a situation where, what's an example? You may be in a situation where you need to speak up for yourself, where you may need to cuss someone out, especially if they've been working your nerve, getting on your nerves, they've been using you. That person probably deserves it. And a lot of people say, oh, well, people don't deserve to go through bad things. No, there's people that truly are evil and bad in this world. And, you can turn into the karma. You can be someone's walking karma. So, with that being said, let the dark side kick in. Let your dark side kick in, because you have that dark side for a reason. Don't see it as evil. Don't see it as bad. You have it for a reason. And if you listen, I'm a very intuitive person. If you listen to your intuition, it's more than likely telling you something. That's why it kicked in that moment. That's why it kicked in that situation. You know, and when because a lot of people with that programming of, good, be a good person, a lot of people develop a guilty conscience. I cussed out my boss at work, or I cussed out my coworker, or I got mad at my so-called friend, and now I feel really bad. I shouldn't have done that. I don't know why I did that, and I need to apologize to them. I just feel so bad. I feel so guilty. But why are you really feeling guilty? Do are you really supposed to be feeling guilty for doing what you need to do? Is that why you feel guilty? Or do you feel guilty because you were programmed that way? Because of what you've been taught with the morals and being good and just and moral all the time to everyone, even the people who don't even deserve it? Is that what's making you feel guilty? Because you're probably, you probably shouldn't even be feeling guilty. If anything, depending on who you are, how you were growing up, how you are when you were younger, and how you've been most of your life, you may need to be cheering for yourself. You need to be proud of yourself that you went off on that person. Because that person's probably, and you have to stop and you have to think and you have to reflect on it, that person's probably been using you. That person's probably been working your nerve for who knows how long, for probably years. And they probably deserve to get cussed out. Don't believe that the dark side is bad. Don't believe that the dark side is evil. It's not evil. It's not evil. Everyone has a dark side. You gotta learn how to embrace your dark side and use it to your advantage. That is what you need to do. Don't necessarily believe that it's evil. It's not evil. It's not bad. Sit and strategize. How can I use this to my advantage? What is the advantage of being egotistical? What is the advantage of being a narcissist? What is the advantage of being a bitch? What is the advantage of being, very loud, outspoken? What is the benefit? This is the type of thinking you have to get into. And I'm going to also do a separate video on this because I feel like it's going to be beneficial to a lot of people. So, with that being said, work your advantage. Figure out how to use it to your advantage. And when you figure out how to do this, you're going to be like, oh, I didn't realize, I didn't see the good or see the benefit of being this way. Because I was told, being like this is bad. Being like this, I shouldn't be like this. It's bad. It's evil. It's wrong. I didn't realize I could actually use this personality trait or this flaw to my advantage. You have to get on that level and you have to get to a higher level of thinking. And when you do this, you're going to realize, oh, I could be using so much of this to my benefit, and I'm going to figure out how to really play this game and run game on other people. So, with that being said, that is all I have for this one, and I will check you guys later in the next one. Bye-bye.